Serving 27 years in prison before becoming South Africa's first black president, Nelson Mandela left a legacy for others to follow, including his granddaughter, Ndileka Mandela, who carries on the message. Ndileka recently traveled from her home in Johannesburg to Murfreesboro, where she visited Scales Elementary and encouraged students to find a purpose and leave their own legacy.
Sitting in this room is what we have to nurture as this generation, but you, our next presidents, perhaps in this room sit our next Obama or our next president or Bush or whoever. So education is the most important thing.
Leaving a legacy was the purpose of Mandela's trip to Murfreesboro. She served as the keynote speaker for the 5th Annual F.A.I.T.H Awards, which stands for First African American in the history of Murfreesboro.
And you know, it's all about legacy. Life is so short. You know, moments turns into seconds, seconds into minutes, minutes into hours, hours into days, days into months, months into years, and boom, we're gone. So while we are here, God has ordained all of us to find our passion and go for it.
This year is special for Madeline Scales Harris. Her father, Robert W. Scales Sr., is a Fallen Legacy recipient, along with 8 others, including 2 Murfreesboro police officers who rose in the ranks of leadership, Byron Motley and Johnny Mosby.
Well, Johnny Mosby was an outstanding man. He was an outstanding police officer.
Mosby was a leader in the police department and the city of Murfreesboro. His career spanned 42 years.
Over the course of that time, he was a police officer. He served as a sergeant, a lieutenant, a captain, a major, and finally, it was my great privilege to be able to appoint him as an assistant chief of police, which is the position he held at the time of his retirement. Johnny Mosby was just a good man. He loved people. People loved him. He had a strong leadership quality about him that allowed him to do the right things and make tough decisions in difficult situations.
As Chief Chrisman plainly put it, people loved Johnny Mosby and he loved them back. Another Fallen Legacy winner who also rose through the ranks of MPD was Byron Motley. Motley drowned while saving the life of a child in Brentwood, an unselfish act of heroism and bravery that ended his life, but not his legacy.
He was attuned to what issues were in the area of our city that had been home to him when he grew up. He liked to be involved. He liked to contribute. He liked to mentor people that were around him that were within his sphere of influence. And he was much beloved in this community.
As someone others looked to for answers, Motley made substantial contributions to the police department in training. Like the story of her grandfather, Ndileka Mandela says these are stories that need to be told.
For me, legacies they're about history. They're about posterity and continuity. And as a people, if we don't carry on with the legacies of our communities or of our families, we are people that are lost.
Her grandfather became an iconic figure and showed others how to give back.
He didn't do that on his own. He did it through God's grace.
If not for God, she believes her grandfather would have simply died in prison. The F.A.I.T.H Awards are about just that, faith and its power.
It now has come to signify faith in terms of spirituality.
But the message of the Fallen Legacies is not just about them, but about those who come after them and the duty to carry on their legacies.
If we don't carry on our legacy, because who we are is who we were. We learn from what comes from history. History informs our future.
Robert Scales Sr., better known as T90, was the first black elected to the City Council in 1964 and the first in the entire South since Reconstruction. He held the position for 24 years and served as vice mayor for 16. Most of all, he left a legacy for doing good and helping the down and out.
He paved the way for a lot of us to come behind them. Showed a whole lot of leadership through different times. I really didn't understand at that time but you grow to understand that somebody has to step in that fold and pave the way.
Fallen Legacy winners Robert Scales, Johnny Mosby, and Byron Motley changed the narrative for their family and their community. It's our duty to make sure the narrative lives throughout history.
Somebody told me one time that, visionaries or leadership people see things that nobody else can see. Well, that comes from God.
So Murfreesboro, we're so blessed to have the legacies that we've had, and it's nothing but God.